Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to my world of worms. I'm holding the top can of the cover of a coffee can, and you can see my worms are kind of moving around this morning. Not real fast, but they're moving a little bit better than they were. I gave it a spray of water, and then I started adding my worms to it. I'm cleaning out Dick and Jane today, and this is Jane. You can see one guy over here trying to escape, and we don't want him to do that. But when I did this a couple days ago, I was cleaning out Jane and adding new bedding and everything. They're my little shoebox. I have a playlist if you want to follow that, but they're just little shoe boxes, and they're kind of hard to maneuver because 90 degrees. They've pretty much they've stopped reproducing. They're just hanging on. I live in Florida. They're outside on my back porch. If it gets to 92, 93, boy, they're just hanging on for life until October hits and the temperatures start to come down. But what I wanted to show you today was that I did sift through, and I put my siftings in this coffee canister, and it's been sitting there. And I thought, gee, I wonder if there's any worms in there. So I've been kind of picking through there. And my friend Sandra always says that she just kind of sits in front of her TV and she watches TV and she does it handful by handful. But I wanted to show you some of how small. Now this guy is a little larger. Let me see if I can put you even closer. Are you closer? There you are. Okay, look at how, he's small. You're getting it magnified. You can see how big my fingers are. And you can see how tiny he is. Maybe, what's that? Maybe an inch, a little more. But I must have gotten, I'm just going over it again and again and again. And that's maybe stretched up, maybe 3/4 of an inch. I'll bet I have pulled at least a couple hundred worms out that are this tiny. I'm really having a hard time showing you this. I'm so sorry. But anyway, I just wanted to say that all I'm actually doing is just kind of like taking it and putting everything to one side, and the worms are actually sticking to the container. And then when I pull all of those out and put them over in my can, look how tiny that is. Can you see if we can get them to come over there? Look how small. And yet that's life, isn't it? That's how we all began. So tiny. So tiny. So I've been doing this for a while, and I thought, my goodness, how many more could there be? And yet, as soon as I think I've finished, darn if I don't find a few more. I'm trying to find you in a clear spot. I don't know if whoops, fell to his death. No, not quite. Fell on my hand. He's got another chance. So what I want to do is, let me just tap these down. And it's funny because as I'm tapping, I kind of go through and it's almost a feather touch. For those of you who are just starting out and you think, oh, I'm afraid to touch them, just get used to doing just kind of a feather touch. And I don't believe that the castings have to be super, super dry. That's not the way I like to do mine. I like to harvest them when they're just a little moist. Let me just take that down to the other end. And see, I think I might be finally getting towards the end. Whoops, there's another one. And you really want to get these guys back in liquid before they die. Sandra says she just takes a piece of wet tissue and they seem to stick to it. And I've just been using my fingers. But that was all I wanted to show you this morning, was just, you know, the incredible how small these worms are when they start out. You know, we're all going for the big worms. And here's the other thing that Sandra over at Nana's Worms and Gardens had mentioned, was that she keeps finding these pieces of silver. This is like the third piece of silvery stuff. I don't put anything silver in my bin. Nothing. One thing I did want to show you, I don't know, can you see that? Can you see those two worms? I've gone through this. I've been working on this little section with this little pile that I showed you. I've been working on this for a half hour. And it's like, how can you be hiding there? Look, there's more. Look, 1, 2, 3. And I can just keep removing them one at a time. I mean, I could start another worm bin. And what amazes me is that how, when they're so tiny, they can still have properties that distinguish them as a red wiggler. You'll see that yellow tail. Although a lot of my worms have started to look more like a blue worm than a wiggler. There's another one. And I just keep moving them over here. There's 2 more. I'm never going to be done with this job. Look, there's another. Let's see if we can get him up there. Did I just drop him? You have to realize I really need a magnifying glass to see these guys. And yet, I'm still pulling them out. Gracious, look, there's life. I find worms just amazing. I remember reading that Darwin just was so, is that another piece of silver? Oh, good grief. Darwin was just fascinated by worms. I should try to pull up something that says, you know, what did Darwin think of worms? But from what I've heard, he was just mesmerized by the world of worms. So am I. But I only like the little ones. I'm sorry, I don't want something that's a foot long crawling up my arm. Can you see that? Pathetic little tiny thing. He really needs a nice warm bath. So anyway, I will hold on just a sec. I'll end this shortly. I just want to show you what these look like. Again, it's cool water, and so they are just so happy. And of course it's in the 70s in here in the kitchen. So with that, I will say I hope you all have a great day, and remember, garden what you've got, and I hope you'll come back and see me again real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.